On today's episode,
on the CEO of You.
Welcome to the CEO of You. You're now locked in with Ethan Hurd, founder of the Network Group and copywriter and content writer.
what's your opinion on when people say ChatGPT is going to take over copywriting?
Oh yes, so I wanted this question. As I'm an older sibling, it's kind of a fear of failure. So it's the sense of that's a good question actually. It is a good question because you don't think about it in a moment. When you're with family, you don't think about how you're presenting yourself. I like to try and practice gratitude because it's something that I struggle with doing. And sometimes I can take a big win and then like it expires in like an hour. I'm a person that from when I was young, I like to think outside of the box. So I don't like to think that's what you have to do. Somebody that can create something that you hear it or you see it or you look into it and you think, wow, how did you think of that? That's what I look for in people. So like the network was originally going to be a podcast and this was a couple years ago. It was a couple years ago. It was originally going to be a podcast. And essentially what happened is at the end of last year, and this gives you kind of the formula. So I call it the 3 V's of networking, right?
Yeah.
So
welcome to the CEO of You. CEO being the highest position you can be in any company. We believe that you are the CEO of your life. That means you take full control and responsibility on how you react to situations in your life.
Always remember, life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you react. Be the boss, be the CEO.
Welcome to the CEO of You. You're now locked in with Ethan Hurd, founder of the Network Group and copywriter and content writer.
All right, so Ethan, I'd like to thank you for coming in all the way from London. But there's just one thing that I have to ask you. So obviously last time you spoke about what it's like growing up in London and your childhood. And I just want to know how that's manifested, made you the person you are today.
I think definitely culturally, it's made me the person I am in the sense of just the people you're surrounded with. So it's a lot of different backgrounds, and it makes it easy for me to connect with people. Because a lot of the time I'll meet somebody and I know somebody else with a familiar background, and you kind of have that in common with people. So even coming to different cities and you see different types of people, like even you guys, it's easy to connect because culturally there's always this kind of a similarity there. So that definitely helps. That's made me who I am in that sense, socially. And then in terms of my work life, just my purpose in life as well, I would say, it's a difficult one, but I would say kind of the culture of London. So it's a busy city. It's always everything's always moving, and that's just kind of like manifested into my own personality in the sense of I always want to keep moving. I'm always trying to keep up kind of with myself and with my brain. So I think that's kind of made me think in that way, just to keep myself going all the time.
Ethan, we've spoken to a few people on this podcast already, and I feel like one common theme that I do see is that I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs have like a pain point, and with that pain, they're trying to turn that into success. Do you have anything that you use as your fuel to keep pushing forward?
I think for me, as I'm an older sibling, it's kind of a fear of failure. So it's the sense of I don't want to be an older sibling that's setting a bad example, or even just I want to set the best example for myself and obviously for my siblings as well. But it's a thing where I don't want to feel like I've shown what not to do rather than what to do. So I want to kind of show my younger brothers what to do.
Okay.
That's kind of following those footsteps. So I'll say that's something that keeps me going, is kind of just the fear of failure, the fear of not fulfilling my own potential, and then also showing that to my brothers, where they would have to learn from that in the sense of my failure, not from my success. That's something that keeps me going. Yeah.
So what is the kind of image you would like to present to your brothers when they see their big brother?
It's just like taking care of your family. It's about family values to me. Also, that's a good question actually. It is a good question because you don't think about it in a moment.
Yeah.
When you're with family, you don't think about how you're presenting yourself as much in the moment. But I'll definitely say it's kind of having the family values. So I'd expect my brothers, obviously, I have 2 younger brothers. I'd expect the middle brother to take care of the youngest the same way I would with him, with both of them. So it's that. It's also, I would say, just being true to yourself as well. So I'd want my brothers to be honest, true to themselves. I don't want a brother that is going to go out there and pretend to be someone they're not, in that sense. So I want my brothers, I have to set that example for them. And that's why I have to be in front of them so that they know that's not cool to go out and act like somebody or not. or to follow other people and take other people as role models. I need to be that role model myself so that they're not misled by other things.
Okay, what you said is definitely a strong principle of what a male figure should be. Do you have anyone in your life, such as maybe a father figure or a manly figure in your life who inspired you to carry these morals and values?
I mean, of course, I think part of my own dad.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Is he still around?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
My dad is in the house as well. Like, I live with my dad, with my parents in the house.
Listen.
And I'll say, with my dad, one of the main things is I see him work hard, in his 9 to 5 like his job, and that's 5 days a week. He's working hard, and I know myself. I'm a person that from when I was young, I like to think outside of the box. So I don't like to think that's what you have to do. But I see kind of his generation. That's what he's had to do, and that's what he does. Like that's the system that he's in, and the system that his brain is in. So what I want is kind of to relieve that system from my family in general. But obviously, in terms of a father figure, I would want to relieve my dad of that system as well, or to show there are different ways to do things rather than kind of the traditional route that a lot of people take. But yeah, so in terms of father figure, I'll say definitely my dad, of course. I want to break the cycle.
Did you have anyone else that you kind of looked up to and was like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it as well?
I would say in my life directly, of course, I've like the people that you come across, but not in particular. I would say, obviously, growing up, like celebrities, so Kanye West is somebody that I look up to in terms of just his drive, his hunger to just create in the sense of like he has the passion for it, the creativity to think outside the box all the time. Somebody that can create something that you hear it or you see it or you look into it and you think, wow, how did you think of that? That's what I look for in people. So like even people like Steve Jobs, before the iPhone, I couldn't have imagined. I know I was young anyway, but I could not have imagined. I think even now at my age, if that iPhone came out now, everyone would still be thinking like, wow, why do we not think of that?
Everyone's got an iPhone as well.
Yeah, and now everyone's got one. Everyone's got a MacBook.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. iPad. So yeah, stuff like that is people who are innovators, people who can think outside the box. Like that's like something I strive for. To like just the thought of having something like that is crazy.
I want to praise you on the innovative thinking, because a lot of things when I first spoke to you, obviously you have your brand called The Network, and I thought that's very interesting. Like I don't really know a group of just people who just want a network, and so please tell me how you came about to start the brand The Network.
Yeah, so essentially, and I'll tell you guys this as well, I forgot to mention this to you earlier. The Network was originally going to be a podcast, and this was a couple years ago. It was a couple years ago. It was originally going to be a podcast, and essentially what happened is that didn't work out. I was still in school, didn't work out, and but I liked the name. Yeah, and then I had the idea to create a group. So what happened is on my Snapchat, within the community, I was doing free shout-outs, and I'll do it for like 24 hours. Anybody send me what you want me to post. Like I set guidelines, of course. Send me what you want me to post, and I'll post it. And then that created a lot of opportunities for people. So I saw the impact of that, and I thought, okay, how can we actually expand that impact outside of just my Snapchat? Because I don't want it to be limited to only people that are following me can have the opportunity as well. Because the whole point in it is that it's meant to expand to everybody. So and plus for myself, it was time consuming doing a whole 24 hours of shout-outs.
I couldn't imagine.
It can get a bit long. So what I did is I had the idea to just create a group where everybody can do that in their own time. So if they want to get more customers, they can go and post on a group. I'm looking for this, or this is the service I'm providing, essentially, and then shout out their business, or find new customers, find somebody to collaborate with. I've had people who have found new business partners through the network. So it's just about the opportunities. Anything that you want, you can find it there. You just have to look for it, essentially. You have to put in the effort to post, make sure everybody knows and they're aware of what you're doing, and you're going to create new opportunities from it. But that's what made me, it was saving time, and I said the time saving, and then expanding the impact as well. That's what motivated me to do that. To create a group.
That's a very good answer still.
So how many views were you getting on Snap when you was kind of like shouting? Yeah.
You must have been doing shout out for shout out or something like that.
The thing is, I didn't want to ask for anything in return because I wanted to do it to kind of yes, it's like to kind of, I wouldn't say give back as much, but I'll say like kind of show gratitude. So I like to try and practice gratitude because it's something that I struggle with doing. And sometimes I can take a big win, and then like it expires in like an hour. I swear it expires.
Man said it expires.
It expires like, because my brain goes straight to, okay, now I need to like, hustle to get what's coming next, and I'm trying to get out of that mindset of grinding. But to go back to the question, the views at the time it would be like 300, so like 200, 300. Obviously when I was doing the shout outs it would go up because people were shouting out and send it to their friends and stuff, but at the time it was like 200, 300.
Okay,
very rapid, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a difficult one as well because you'll get people that add you for a shout out and then don't send anything.
What?
Oh,
like they'll message me, I'll say, okay, yeah, send over what you want me to post, and then they didn't send anything. Just think,
that's crazy.
Free opportunity.
Yeah, you was already networking before you created a network, so I think that's bad. So I just got this really interesting thing. So obviously the network, I feel like that's something with limitless potential. There's so many things you could do. So what's one way you plan to scale the network to bring it to that next level and basically be the best way to network with others?
So essentially at the moment we have the webinars.
Yeah.
I want to keep that consistent, so I'm doing that weekly now. We're doing weekly webinars, and that's just to help people get their foot in the door in a certain industry. So whether it's trading, I did one on copywriting, content writing yesterday. We've had one actually on networking. So I gave people kind of a formula to networking. But to scale in the future, I'm looking at in-person events, doing more giveaways, just kind of providing value to the community in any way I can. And I think bringing in the role models like the specialist webinars, and the other way we can do that is kind of facilitate actual networking, so events. So that's what I'm looking to do in the future. Yeah,
create an app for that. That would be sick. Trust me.
Yeah, that sounds.
That would be sick if you had an app for that. Or you had already events coming, schedule, people coming. That would be sick.
So, do you have like an end goal with the network? Do you have like something in your mind that makes you go, "That's how I want the network to look in 3 years"?
Honestly, I don't have an end goal in life.
Oh,
There's no end. There's no end. Like, I see the network as, and this is most things in business. Obviously, you have goals, so you want to reach kind of milestones, but there's not one last milestone to me. So, for example, I could say, yeah, we want to get to 10,000 in the Telegram in a group. Then, once we reach that, it's, like I said, it's expired. Like now, I have to think, okay, what's next? Because I feel like if we don't have another goal to work towards, it's going to be difficult to actually be moving upwards, and I always want to be moving upwards. So if I was to say, hypothetically, an end goal would be to kind of just be operating on a global level. That would be a big goal for me. That would be a big achievement for me, to operate on a global level where you have people like Earn Your Leisure. They can come to the UK and do a massive event. So stuff like that, that would be great for me.
That'd be sick.
But other than that, I don't see a limit, because even after that, I'll be thinking, okay, what can I do next? What can we do next? Who else can we reach?
Yeah.
So, and another thing actually would be getting people from backgrounds like my own into corporate buildings or into like Canary Wharf, and networking with people who can open doors for them like that. So it's just making the opportunities easier to access as well. Bigger opportunities, easier to access. That would be a point that I would want to reach with the network as well.
Okay, I like that. Just based on what you're just saying. So you said you want to help people get to Canary Wharf and obviously get to corporate jobs. How is it you yourself network to reach these kind of people?
Essentially, it all depends. I've met people through my mom that my mom used to work with, and then it would just be like, oh, she used to work with this person. They left to start their own business, and now their business is taken off. And I will just say, okay, what can I provide that person? Essentially, that's what networking is about to me. Especially when you're reaching up to network with somebody who is high value, you need to provide value to them, because their time is worth so much money. So you have to think, okay, can I save them time to then replace that with time for me to learn from them or something like that? Okay. In some instances, people will pay for mentorship. So I know a lot of people are familiar. You have to pay for mentorship, and you can do that to get your foot in the door as well. But I'll say always provide value where you can. Save yourself the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say providing value is the best way to network. And a lot of people now, especially like I said, like Canary Wharf, just people who are in a corporate lifestyle and are from an older generation, they want to reach out to the younger generation as well, because there are less people now that want to work in offices, that want to work a 9 to 5. So they want to kind of, if the flow is not going in that direction anymore, they want to kind of show them, But there are numerous ways. I think with the network, it's much easier because I'm not going as an individual. I'm going with I already have a community to provide as well. So that's something else.
Okay, so I've been in one of your seminars and it's with Aaron. That was a very good seminar.
Same.
And shout out calls up.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out calls up. And in one of the seminars, somebody was one of the, I don't know if I remember her name, I say her name exactly, but she was obviously asking, where's the best place to network? And I just want to answer that because obviously we answered it in chat. We was like, the people around you here, we're all here to learn. That's why we're all in this room. So reach out to people here. So I just want to ask you, to anybody watching this, what's one piece of advice you would give to them to get to network and get their foot in the door?
I would say, and this is something I did a free ebook at the end of last year.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of the blueprint for networking. So it's about
please tell us about it. I've never
providing
heard
value as well.
Tell us.
Yeah, so I released the ebook at the end of last year, and this gives you kind of the formula. So I call it the 3 V's of networking, right?
Yeah.
So first, you need to visualize where you want to be in a set amount of time. So say like 5 years time, where do you want to be? So for example's sake, I'll say, okay, I want to be working in Canary Wharf, right? And obviously I'll get more in detailed vision of where you want to be.
Yeah.
But for the sake, I'll just say we want to work in Canary Wharf, go to the gym in the morning, and etc. Then you visit. So if you think about where would you go in your day-to-day life, not like a one-off, where would you go day-to-day? Go and visit that place. So for example, you could actually go to Canary Wharf. You might, in your ideal life, go get coffee in the morning. Go to those coffee shops in Canary Wharf. That's where you're going to find people living the life that you want to live. Or a gym that's in that area. Even get a day pass and just try and talk to people. It's more effective when you're there regularly. But if you can't afford like a gym in Canary Wharf because it will be more expensive, then even get a day pass and just try and get a feel of the people that you're around. Is that actually what you want to be doing in 5 years? Because even then, I think a lot of people have a vision for themselves, but they don't know of other people who are in the shoes that they want to be in.
Yeah.
And then it's like they get closer to it and then they realize, actually, this is not for me. So I wouldn't want to be in that position. I wouldn't want anybody that I'm giving advice to be in that position. So that's why I say visualize, then visit and see the people that are there. Do you feel like that's still the environment you want to be in? If not, go back to step 1. If it is, then speak to those people and think about, okay, once you meet somebody who's as close to the position that you want to be in 5 years, think, how can I provide value to them?
Is that the third V?
And that's the third V, value. So how can you provide value? And then once you provide the value to them and you get their time, you can learn from them. And that just makes you're absorbing kind of part of that lifestyle by speaking to them. You're absorbing part of that character. And that's essentially the 3 steps that I would give to networking to effectively.
I think that's a very good 3 step.
Yeah, that's a very good 3 step.
What is it?
Visualize,
visit,
and
value.
Yeah.
That's a
that was great.
top 3.
And you know what it is? Shout out ours as well. Rosario Academy.
Shout out ours.
He did the same thing to get his degree apprenticeship. So he wanted to be in Canary Wharf. He loves Canary Wharf, as you guys might know.
I know. I see you on the story.
Yeah. He wanted to be in Canary Wharf, so he had that vision of where he wanted to be. He wanted to work in the office in Canary Wharf. Then he was visiting Canary Wharf. At one point, you can ask him, he was going there every day just to be in Canary Wharf. And then he ends up networking with people in Canary Wharf, and that's how he got his degree apprenticeship. So that's even like a clear example of the 3 steps coming to life. But
Okay.
yeah.
So I've got one. So you do copywriting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever provide value with your copywriting to people that you wanted to network with?
With my copywriting, yes. However, I try not to use that as my value all the time. So I don't want to be kind of just a copywriter. So I feel like if I do that all the time to network with everyone, just use my copywriting, then I'm just going to be known as a copywriter in a way, if that makes sense.
I get you.
So what I like to do is, obviously I have the network. The network is free, and I know it will benefit people. So I can use the network as well. I think most of the time I use the network to network with people.
Yeah.
So I'll literally say, okay, I have a free community. Whatever you have going on right now, like whether it be a business, or obviously would have spoken to them before. If they're a content creator or they own a business, I can say this is free promo. Like you can find customers, you can find, oh, you need an editor. There's editors there. Just message in the chat, and
Just
you'll have
message
5 messages. Like,
Hey, me. One of us. Oh, me.
yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
obviously I provided copywriting, more specifically most of the time content writing, but that's nuanced. But yeah, my writing services, I've used that of course as well, and I know actually a lot of editors that use their editing to get their foot in the door, get to know people,
Yeah.
and create new opportunities for themselves. So I think a skill can definitely help you get your foot in the door in terms of providing value, of course.
All right, then. So I just want to speak on that. So you're obviously being an editor. Obviously, you try and do outreach to get some work and everything. What's one of the best ways to outreach to like a potential client? Because I know you do the copywriting thing, and you obviously have to outreach to get potential clients. So how is it you outreach using the free Vs?
So using the free Vs, I don't as much use that for my client outreach.
Okay.
If I'm sending outreach messages, what I do is I present it as an opportunity to the client, number one, and I start by complimenting the client. I actually spoke about this in the last session as well.
Yeah.
But I start off with complimenting the client. I show like kind of specialized detail to show them I actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's not like a template that I've sent out to everyone. It is a template I've sent out to everyone.
But you know, I do so similar. I just change the names I don't use.
But that's what I'm saying. I add their name, of course, and then I'll say, oh, I love what you're doing with CEO of You podcast.
Yeah.
Your last episode, I watched it twice, something like that.
Mhm.
And then that's essentially showing them I actually have an interest in what they're doing. So in some cases, I will actually have watched it twice, or I will actually have taken a particular interest in their product, and that's why I want to work with them. Other times, I'm looking for clients.
Yeah.
But overall, you're showing that you have an interest in what they're doing, you appreciate what they're doing, and that makes them more likely to reply to you. Then I just present my services and opportunity. So I might say the end goal most of the time for the clients in copywriting would be to generate conversions. So I'm going to say, okay, I have an opportunity for you. I think I could help you out, or I have an idea that could help you generate more conversions for this particular course or this particular product. And then essentially that's how I get my foot in the door to arrange a phone call with them, or a Zoom call, and then that's your lead.
So do you say that in separate messages? So do you compliment, wait for them to reply, then present the opportunity?
Most of the time I'll do this in the same message.
Okay.
This is a template people use a lot for like cold emails.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just do it on DMs. It depends. But
Okay.
yeah, most of the time people do it on email.
Because I feel like I've got a few cold messages, and it was like they complimented me at first. Of course, I reply. Then they present their opportunity, and I'm like, okay, you're smart. You're smart. Whereas if they did it in the same message, I would have saw it, probably would have said thanks, but no thanks at the same time. Like, I'm not interested in your service. But yeah, for them to get me to reply, it's kind of like I'm definitely going to see the message now.
Yeah.
Because it's like in my inbox, primary or general. But yeah, I was just wondering.
I feel like, I think it depends on the person as well, because sometimes I think if I get one where they've complimented me and then they present something after, sometimes I'll just be like, wow, so you just complimented me, so you could do this.
Yeah.
But at least if I'm coming to you and I'm putting my cards on the table already, I'm showing you this is what I came for. I didn't come just to compliment you. I'm a fan of what you're doing, but I also have an opportunity for you.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I would rather somebody come to me saying,
Would you rather them come all in one, as in everything's on the table here, or would you rather them come to them, compliment you first, then say, all right, look, this is what I can do for you, this is how I can improve?
no, so I would say I would want them to present the opportunity that they have, or say, okay, I have an idea for this, because that itself kind of leads you into conversation, because you want to know, okay, you have an idea for generating more conversions, let me hear your idea. Whether it be your service or not, you want to hear the idea to generate more conversions.
Yeah.
Like if somebody said, I have an idea for you guys to get more viewers, you're going to listen. Whether you pay them or not, you're going to listen. So I think in terms of that, I think that's as far as I would go with detail. I wouldn't say, okay, these are my prices. This is this particular service I'm going to provide. I wouldn't say that, but I would say briefly, yeah. Just say that you have an opportunity or idea for this outcome, and then take it from there, because then that leads you into conversation.
Fair enough. Let me just bring it back real quick, because you did mention networking at gyms and I'm just like, I've seen this everywhere, and like I don't feel like it's true. Like obviously you can network at gyms, obviously good high value health clubs, but it's like, I'll be real, if someone came into David Lloyd's right now and I'm there trying to work out and he's just going around chatting to people, I'm just gonna be like, bro, get out my face, bro. I'm trying to work out. You get it? So that's how I feel. That's how I feel like some people are going to be listening and be like, yeah, I'm just going to get a day pass and chat to everyone in the gym.
Yeah.
Bro, half the people are going to realize, yo, this is your first day here. Do you even have a membership? Is it a day pass? You're just trying to get something off me. So I don't, like, it can work, but I feel like a lot of the time.
That's like what I said though, like.
Depends on your approach.
If you are getting a day pass to network, it will be a bit of a difficult one, because I don't think people are going to talk to you just off of being there once. Most of the time, the people I've spoken to, I've seen their face multiple times when I'm going to the gym, and that's when you talk to them.
Start to build that rapport.
Get to know them.
Build them friendly nods.
Because even as men, you see someone like on the way to somewhere all the time. Eventually, you're just gonna start nodding at them, like you know them. Yeah. So I think it's about being familiar, but it's also not overdoing it as well. I think people in the gym can tell if you're just going like trying to talk to everyone, find out what they do for a living. Like, it'll be a bit weird. It'll be a bit weird. So I think one, familiarity, and two, it's just about just relax. Like, you don't have to be acting like you're networking. You can just talk to people.
Yeah.
And that's how it works up from there.
Okay, then, so how is it you would recommend, like, let's create a scenario for you. How exactly would you network in the gym yourself? Because I know, like, just based off what Ajane said, a lot of men have headphones on. That's a sign, I'm not interested in speaking to you. A lot of men mid-workout, like, I don't want to talk to you mid-workout. So how is it you yourself would probably do it?
We're getting into the details of inside the gym.
Yeah.
I would say, the thing is, sometimes I wear my headphones in the gym, innit?
Yeah.
But I'll wear like half off or whatever.
Okay.
I don't really talk to people in the gym, because I like to just get my workout done. When I most of the time speak to the people, will be in the sauna or the steam room. That's when I'll be more open to conversation. Basically.
Yeah,
And I think that's when everybody's relaxed. I think when you're working out, sometimes some people, like you said, you just want to get on with your workout. Like, you don't want to stand up and talk for ages. Some people like doing that. I personally don't like doing that. But I would say sauna, steam room, even jacuzzi, man. People talk in there as well. People talk the most.
Yeah.
They talk the most, yeah. But me myself, like, I'm a laid back person, so I'll do my networking kind of subtle. I naturally don't go and talk to everybody anyway. So for me, I'm more laid back. It also depends on your personality, because if you're a talkative person anyway, then
easy.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah.
All right, I like the answer.
Yeah.
So just one thing I want to ask. I've had a friend who went to the Gen Z hunts, and they were going mainly for the reason of networking. However, he didn't know some of the things, what he wanted to speak to people, how to approach them, what kind of information and value he wants to give. Because I believe if I can offer you value and you can offer me value, straight away it can work. So if I was to go to a networking event, could you just tell me what exactly you would do and how you would recommend it to others to actually create these connections and these bonds to further and potentially work in the future?
Okay, this is uncommon advice. Yeah, don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it.
Yeah, a lot of people, they go to a networking event, and obviously Gen Z Club, shout out them as well. big events. So if you're going to a big event like the award ceremony, there are a lot of people there. You can't speak to everyone because you're not going to form a genuine connection with everyone. So when I go to networking events, I speak to people, but I try to I don't limit myself, but I just try not to overdo it. I try not to talk to more people than I can manage, because what you want to do is you want to message people the day after, or even the evening, you want to say, oh, it was nice to meet you, hope we can keep in contact. And you're not going to do that if you've spoken to like 200 people in the same night.
True.
So networking is about forming actual relationships, forming actual connections with people. And you can't do that if you're talking to 1,000 people in a night.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, don't overdo it. The other thing, approaching people in general, they're at a social event. So don't be thinking it's awkward to approach someone. And that's something I've learned myself. I'm not like I said, I'm a very laid back person. I don't go out and talk to people. I'm not a very like social person myself. But when I'm at a networking event, I know, the chances are I might approach someone awkwardly, and then we have a conversation, and that's the ice is broken anyway. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or it's something to laugh about, because I know I can laugh at. If I've been awkward, I know I can laugh at it. So it's just a thing where like, just drop your pride and just go talk to people. Like, if you made a fool of yourself,
It's what
laugh
it
it off.
is.
You
Yeah,
might not
that's
even
it.
meet that person ever again.
Mm.
So, and if you do, you'll have something to talk about the next time. You can just say, "Oh, last time I actually embarrassed myself." Like, that's something to laugh about, especially your boys. Like, that's something to laugh about. Like, I just feel like just drop your pride. There's no shame in not knowing how to approach people. There are a lot of people at networking events that I met that came to a networking event on their own, and they're like teenagers, and I'm just thinking, they must have been scared to come and have to talk to people that are older than them as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I just think, come on, man, you have to just get outside your comfort zone. Like, you need to get used to being outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
True.
I went to my first networking event in July.
July.
In July.
Recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I went to my first one in, I think it was in like November or December.
Yeah, I never went to a networking event before.
I was like, dude, what was it called?
I think mine was the Earn Your Leisure, but that wasn't really a networking event, was it?
They called it networking, but that wasn't really
Nah,
Yeah,
that,
there
was,
wasn't
that was
much.
a massive show. That was.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
wasn't
that
much
was a
networking
show,
going on.
yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier
Maybe
that
there
you
was.
didn't want to be.
No, I said maybe there was networking.
Oh, sorry. You mentioned earlier you didn't want to be known as just a copywriter.
Yeah.
What do you want to be known as?
I just want to have impact. I just want to have impact. I just want. I don't believe in the label in the sense of like, oh yeah, they do this. I mean, I prefer to stick to entrepreneur because it's not so much a label. It's more of we can't really put a name on what you do, so we'll just say entrepreneur because
Yeah,
you
and
can do what you want
ex-
basically.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
what
why
you
I like entrepreneur. But to say writer is just like, okay, yeah, that's my lane basically.
It's limited to
Yeah.
just right.
And I'm not. I don't like to limit myself to one thing. So
said. Yeah, same.
it's definitely like, yeah, I could say I'll introduce myself that I do copywriting and I'm a content writer as well. But for me, it's not my identity. It's not it's not my purpose. I want to have impact on as many people as possible. I don't want to be, oh yeah, he was a great copywriter. Like when I
Yeah.
die, I don't want people to say, oh yeah, he was a copywriter.
Oh, I remember
Like,
Ethan the copyright.
Yeah. Like, I don't want that. So
Yeah. All right. That's good. You said that. So, if you could actually choose another skill which you want to have, to obviously people to know you more about, what is that next step you would take?
for me, obviously, that's a good question. I wouldn't say the next skill for me. I think I don't focus as much on skills such as like obviously copywriting, editing that we would use for freelancing or job. I try to focus on like the soft skills like communication, leadership, stuff like that. Because obviously I'm growing a community. I need to be able to communicate with my community,
Yeah.
and I need to be able to lead people in my community as well as the person who founded the group. So I need to I'll say those skills is what I focus on, my communication, just being able to talk to people. Like I said, my first networking event, that was July, yeah. I was not ready for that event, but I went to get out of my comfort zone. So now if I go to an event or if I'm just out and somebody talks to me, I can hold a conversation with them easy. Before I used to think I don't have anything in common with someone, so you can't talk to them basically. If we don't
Oh
have anything in
yeah, I
common.
know exactly.
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
So that's how I used to think, and that was that's another thing I try to emphasize is how fast you can grow as a person if you just focus on growth. Basically, anything that's gonna make you grow, because that was only a couple months ago, or that's 6-7 months ago,
Yeah.
and now I'm comfortable. I can talk to anybody, and it's like conversation just comes to you, innit? So
Obviously, I heard you mentioned communication, like soft skills,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
listening as well. You wouldn't know. How important is communication when you're when you actually are running the network and also the copywriting as well? How important is it to communicate to people?
yeah, it's definitely. I mean, copywriting is so important because when you're working with clients, anything client based, you kind of holding their reputation on your shoulders when you're doing work for them. So you need to communicate with them. You need to know exactly what you're putting out there for them. You need to know who their audience is. like stuff like that, doing research and then bringing that back to them and just making sure everything lines up. So it's definitely like, it's important in copywriting to communicate with your client. And obviously you have to be efficient in communication to then deliver their message to the audience.
Yeah.
But that's written. For me, I'll say my communication is more verbal that I've struggled with in the past. So in that sense, with the network, I have to speak to people. I have to host a webinar where I've brought in somebody to come and talk to everybody. So I have to communicate with them and connect them to my audience, introduce them to my audience. And even ending the webinar, like I have to be ready, know what to say, know how to talk to my audience.
Yeah.
And I need to communicate with the community to know what they want. So I might ask them, who should I bring in? Like, I just need to know what that is, and then I can go and get someone for them.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
How is it you use these skills into your day-to-day life? Because these skills, obviously, they can be interpreted in many situations. So how is it you use them on your day-to-day life?
day to day.
With like relationships with family, friends, relationships.
Well, I think like enhancing my communication skills has definitely helped me with just relationships with family and stuff, because I can articulate. I think I've like matured emotionally where I can articulate how I feel about certain things. When I was a teenager, I would just channel emotional like discomfort or negative emotions in negative ways, essentially. Whereas now I can speak about, okay, if this is how I feel about something and I know why I feel about it, like I know why I feel this way, I can then find a solution, or I can then speak to people about it. So I think in terms of relationships, communication, enhancing those skills has helped me kind of have healthier relationships with people.
That's good.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of relationships, though. Speaking of relationships,
The way he said, put down the water. I was like, speaking about relationships.
Oh, I did.
I know you have a girlfriend.
Yes.
Do you ever feel like, not to be rude, do you ever feel like, do you feel like she supports you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll say in the sense that she'll always support me anyway. I think she'll always, I've never felt like she doesn't support me. No matter what direction I'm going in, she'll support me. But I'll say the strongest form of support you can get from a partner is like when you're not looking for support, essentially. So making my life easier in certain times. For example, this morning I had to get up. We went to bed at like 12, 1. I had to get up at 6 because my train was at 7. I had to get up at 6. Yeah, my train to Euston was at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Euston, not to
Was
here.
at 7.
Yeah.
That's mad. Okay,
And there were none after that, but so I had to get up early, and then obviously she's gone to bed at the same time as me, but she still got up. She's not going anywhere. She still got up. She made me breakfast. So it's just like stuff like that. I didn't ask her to do that.
Oh, that's
But
nice.
it's just
though.
like making my life easier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So small things like that. That's the best form of support you can get. I think any partner should support what you're doing in terms of your work life or whatever. But small things like that, making your life easier, especially where I try to keep myself busy all the time. Small things like that save me time or save me having to go and buy food up when I leave.
Yeah.
It just makes your life easier. Like. But yeah, I'll see.
So how is it like? Obviously, when as an entrepreneur, I know your time's valuable. You are busy. So how is it you manage to have a partner who's supporting you in doing what you're doing, and also have a partner whose lifestyle also fits in with yours so well?
I do my best to make time, essentially, like just to spend time together. So whether that be I might go to her house and I'll just bring my laptop and I can get my work done there. A lot of what I do comes with location freedom, so I can work wherever I want as long as I have my laptop or my phone. Most of the time, my laptop. But as long as I've got my laptop, I can get my work done. Yeah. So essentially, I can make time, and I'm just blessed in the fact that she's not going to distract me when I'm actually doing that work. That's the main thing, to be honest. That's the key thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people tell me like life is made for two. Have you not heard that?
I haven't even heard that.
I've heard that. I have heard that.
Life is made for two.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs and just a lot of businessmen or people, businesswomen, kind of feel like a relationship takes too much time out of their business life, and it's better off them kind of being alone until they make it to a certain point that they can free up more time and then have a relationship. What do you think about that?
If you made it this far in the video, make sure to
Subscribe, comment, and like the video, as it helps us more than you know.
I think it depends on you yourself, because if you're not disciplined enough to like be able to carry on your normal routine and stuff when you're with them, then it's going to be difficult. I've had situations where I've been lazy because we were together, and that's a me problem. I can't blame her for that. Do you know what I mean? So
Facts.
it's a thing where I don't know. You need to. It depends on the person. It depends on you, and also depends on your partner. Because if your partner is not going to let you do work when you're there, or they're going to keep complaining, that's going to kind of get you. Yeah, it's going to get you into the routine of not doing work when you're there because you know she's going to complain. So it's a thing where, yeah, it depends on both people to me. And also, if you're with somebody, I believe you should. If you're with somebody and they're your partner, you should be looking long term. Like, I'm not gonna, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're a businessman, you have big plans for the future. You shouldn't be in a relationship with someone and not thinking, oh, I can be with this person long term. That's what I personally think.
Okay.
Because that's somebody who can impact your long term vision, who can impact your life in the long term. So why would you allow them to be in your life if you don't have a long term vision with them? Essentially.
Yeah, I get you.
So, and what I mean by bringing this up is the fact that if you can't be with them, obviously a lot of people don't live with their partner. I don't live with my partner, but if she was, obviously I want to be with her long term. If we were to live together, I need to know that I can still carry on with my life how I want to, as in I could use the same routine as if I was living alone, except I get to spend time with her as well. That's what it should be like to me. So it's about, if you can't do that now, you need to get out of the way before you end up moving in together or something, because then when you get to that point, it's going to be even more difficult to get stuff done.
You know,
But yeah, it
facts.
depends
So
on
what-
both.
I hear that.
I just want to ask that same question to yourself, Ajane.
What's the question?
The same
Repeat it
question
back
you
to
had,
me.
you had at Ethan, which was how is it like, in a way, you manage and cope to do this entrepreneurship life and also have a relationship?
Bro.
And do you feel like it works?
For me, it's more of like, I want to call it balance, but
Yeah, so how is it you find balance?
for me, I'm not sure if some people will call it balance. Like, sometimes me and my girl don't get to spend a lot of time together. So what we do is we go gym together, and that's like our way of spending time together. Sometimes we'll get food after gym as well. But yeah, if we don't get time to actually spend time together apart from gym, then it's just like we won't really see each other. But I know for a lot of couples and a lot of girls, like maybe they don't go gym, or maybe they don't go to the same gym as their partner, or they don't live together. So gym's not an option. The only option is coming to see their partner. And if they're in a busy lifestyle, they might not see them for like 2 weeks. Then it kind of plays on the girl. Then the girl's stressing out you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say find an activity that you can do together that's kind of like in your lifestyle, or you can add it to your lifestyle that she does. And yeah, man, that's like a way of spending time together.
Okay, I got a question then for both of you guys, just as young men. Do you so we established at the start that life, we both agree life is for two. I agree that.
Yeah,
What
I
about
agree.
yourself? Yeah. So, do you genuinely believe that while you're at this young stage, you should fully commit yourself to your purpose and what you want to do, then have the relationship? Or do you believe you should have the relationship and also still work to get to where you need to be?
You know what I believe?
What?
I believe if the relationship comes to you, bro, it comes to you.
Okay.
I don't think you should be out there like looking for a girl. You get it? If you're between 20 and 30, I don't think you should be out there looking for a girl, dying for a girl.
So you think if it comes
just
to
build,
you,
just build, and it will come to you. The girl will come to you, because if you're out there looking, you'll find some girl that's probably not even the right fit for you. You're building up this lifestyle. She's just benefiting off your lifestyle, and she weren't really there for you. She's just there for the value that you brought to her. And yeah, man, that's what I think.
what about you, Ethan?
Yeah, I think like you said, there's more authenticity in finding someone now rather than when you've already got to where you want to be.
Yeah.
But it's also a thing where, like, for me, if I wasn't in a relationship, I wouldn't be looking for a relationship. Like, I wouldn't, if it comes to you, then it comes to you. And if it comes to you and it doesn't work out, then calm, that's a lesson, basically. Like, it's the same as anything else in life. If it doesn't work out, then it's a lesson. If it does, then that's something you've invested in basically. And if you are sure that the other person in the relationship is fully committed to having you in their future as well, then why would you give that up basically?
Yeah, yes.
It would be kind of, you'll be playing yourself to do that.
Yeah. So how is it you guys as in relationships? How is it you deal with, obviously sometimes the female can be a distraction in your life, as in you may not get everything you need to get done. So how is it you make sure your first priority, which is yourself and your work, how is it you make sure you get that done before spending time with the female?
It's just discipline and productivity for me. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
I know if I wake up at 5, 6, hit the gym and come back and bang out work and do what I need to do and even do some for the next day, then I know, cool, I'm ahead. And if I keep at that rate, I'll be ahead by like 1 or 2 days. So if my girl does need extra attention, I can actually give it to her, kind of thing. But yo, you're speaking like you ain't in a relationship yourself, boy. How do you do this, boy?
Me, I was
It sounds like, yo.
Nah, I was just saying, obviously, same, pretty much just try and get everything done and then text when I can. You get what I'm saying? So let's say if I've done the one reel, I'll be like, all right, cool. I got to text her for a bit. You get what I'm saying? So that's how I would try and do it. And I also have like a set period where like before I go bed, I try to do this the most. Before I go to bed, so let's say about 10 a.m., I would always try and text her because she goes to bed early, around 10 p.m. Sorry.
I was going to say you go to bed at 10 a.m.
around 10, before 10 p.m., I always try and call her, have a text with her. So then after like 10 to 12 p.m., I usually go to bed at 12 and wake up at like 7. I try and get like a few extra 2 hours of work, as you said, to get ahead. So that's how I would deal with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'll say it's all about discipline, man. Like, you just need to, if you're in like deep work, me personally, if I'm working like for a couple hours straight, and then I go message her after, she'll understand that I took a while to message her because I was working. I'll just say I was working. That's it.
Yeah, same.
So I'll say like, there's been times where she's called me and I'm in a meeting.
Okay, how does she react though when you're like you're working?
It's fine.
Same.
Because it's the same way it comes. So she does music. If she's in a studio session, I'm not just gonna keep messaging her the whole studio session because I know she's working. So it's just a common understanding. Like I think it's mutual understanding, where she knows, calm, if I'm working, then I'm working. She'll let me wait, and she'll wait and let me message her after.
Yeah. Kind of just comes with understanding and trust. I can't lie.
Yeah.
Because if you don't trust him, then you'll be like, is he really working? But
yeah,
like, yo,
that's when you just have to
man's
cut
really
off,
working, bro. I got a life to build here.
Yeah. So as like young men, what would you tell other young men who are also trying to build themselves, who are also maybe in a relationship?
I'll be real. Don't
what to avoid?
What to avoid?
Because there's a lot of women out there who would be like drain their partner to the point where they're sacrificing their own careers for a relationship right now.
This is why I say, bro, don't be searching for a relationship. I don't really think it's that deep. Like I feel like
there's plenty fish in the sea. Like that's what you need to remember as well.
Yeah.
If one girl is draining you like that, and there's so many people that are just in a relationship, and it's the other way around as well. Like if a man is just doing the most as well, because there are guys that do the most as well. If you're in that situation, just cut them off. Like it's not, this person is not making your life. If they're making your life worse, then get rid of them, because your work and your purpose in life should be number one. Like you should be number one in your own life. So if they're not making you happy, what's keeping you there? Like there shouldn't be anything that's keeping you there.
Alright, cool. So we spoke about obviously relationships and everything. Yeah. What about building with friends? How is exactly you build with friends to help them network with yourself and
with
also
friends,
build the connections? Yeah.
I'll say, me personally, like I like to take care of the people around me, right? So if I have an opportunity that I think somebody would be suited to, then I'll pass that to my friend first. But I don't know. What do you mean more on that? Go into more detail.
Like, all right then. So you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you're out here networking, and then obviously it's also important to take care of the circle, the people who are around you, and have the right people around you. How is it you manage the people around you to actually help you get to that next level? You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes you could have friends who aren't doing the same stuff, and then you end up just not as networking as much because they're happy to be where they are. Whereas if you have friends who are networking and trying to reach new levels, you also elevate with them. So how is it you manage to have the right friends, the friendship group really is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'll say mainly it's just positioning yourself around like-minded people, and then you become friends with them essentially through that. So it could be through like networking and working with somebody that you become friends with them, or it can be friends that you've had from before, but you're just you have a similar mindset. So the saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
So you have to be on the same page to be good friends, essentially, especially if we're working towards a similar purpose, working towards a similar goal, in terms of achieving greatness in life. You have to have a similar mindset. So if somebody doesn't have a similar mindset, I'm not gonna cut them off, but it's just gonna be like, I'm not gonna bring you my opportunities because I know it's gonna be a waste of time for me. I can't waste my energy and my time, even my money, if I'm helping you invest in something or invest in yourself, because I'm a generous person. If I feel like, okay, calm, one of my friends can actually benefit from this book, I want you to read this book. Like, I'll order you the book. Like, I've done this before to my friends. Like, I'll say, you read the book. Like, if you want a book, you're not borrowing my one, I'll buy you one. I don't like giving people my books, but no, I hate giving people. You know what? I gave one of my friends my book, and I haven't seen it since. I'm never giving anyone my books ever again.
I'm telling you, I like the time when you borrow a book, bro. That book ain't coming back.
Never.
I'll be honest.
Never.
They'll come back. It's a collected dust.
Yeah, because I feel like Nero had the same situation. He borrowed a few books out. I don't as well he'd given his book back.
I think it was exactly. Yeah, he went to his book from when we was.
Oh, dude.
All right, then that's great. Just talking on books. I was in one of your webinars and you spoke about how you gave your brother books to read.
Mm-hmm.
Why have you gotten reading so young?
Because it's necessary. I read partially in like year 7, year 8. Then I stopped reading. And I just think when you keep your mind in space of learning and you're used to learning, it becomes kind of second nature to seek knowledge, to learn. And I think if you learn certain things from a young age, for example, right now I've gone reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. If he's learning about personal finance from this age, and I can keep reinforcing those messages, then by the time he's my age, he's going to be clear. Like, that's my goal. I want my brothers to do better than me. If I have the resources to provide to make them do better than me, then by all means, why would I hold that back? Do you know what I mean? So it's a thing where I have him reading now, because if I can make him and help him reinforce those messages throughout his life or his young life, then it's only going to compound until he gets older. And then he's equipped with all of that I only started learning a couple years ago, from when he was young.
True.
It's just about compounding the knowledge.
I want to know, have you worked a normal job before?
Yeah, so I actually worked a normal job. Well, I worked a part-time job in recruitment last year.
Recruitment?
Yeah.
And why did you leave? What? Are you still there or did you leave?
No, I left. Well, I didn't even leave actually. I didn't get fired. But basically, they didn't have work for me anymore. Essentially,
Oh,
I think they brought me on because they had work coming in all the time.
Yeah.
And then they said they don't have work anymore. And this was just before I went on holiday as well.
Oh, so that's a bad time. Yeah.
But it was calm though. No, they were good people as well. So, I was fine with that. And it's the thing where I didn't take that job as like my life or anything. Like, I wasn't relying on the job, so I was happy.
Oh, okay.
That was
I get
calm.
you.
Like, yeah. But yeah, I worked a normal job. Then other than that, I'm trying to think. I only like small stints here and there. But other than that, nah. Just that part-time job, and that was a couple months.
See, because for me, it's like, I know you said the fear of failure is what pushes you. For me, it's like, yo, I've worked a couple normal jobs, and I'm like, I can't do this, bro. Like, I can't do this. I'm struggling, and I'm working for someone else, building their vision or maintaining their vision, and it's just like, yo, I really can't go back to that. I'd rather build my own thing and stress over my own thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah. But I feel like a lot of young people, when they get into it young, like for you, it's like they haven't really spent a lot of time in a normal 9-to-5 life.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone should get into that. Just cause it's like, we're all in education. It's easy. You go uni, you even get loans. You don't even need to work.
Yeah.
You can work here and there. But it's like, you don't really experience what normal life is. Then you finish uni, you're in a bunch of debt, and you have to go find a graduate job. And then I feel like a lot of people, if they find one, don't even like it. and then they start down their own path anyway.
And that's pretty much the rest of your life after that.
Yeah,
Graduate
man.
job, that's what you studied for.
I feel like it's too much of a blueprint for me. I don't like to follow. I always had this fear of, like, it's kind of associated with the failure thing or what I picture as failure. I don't want a life where it's like predictable, where somebody can say, oh yeah, you did this, you did this, you did this.
Yeah,
I can get a million other people that did the same thing. I don't want that life. I want a life where people are like, wow, this is interesting. Interesting guy.
Route,
On my headstone it needs to say he lived an interesting life. Like that. unique life. Because I don't want the same route as everybody else. Even in the entrepreneurial space, I don't want the same, like, you have a lot of people who have similar stories, and I don't have a problem with that. But it's just, I don't know what it is like. It's just my brain doesn't like it. Like, like, if say I had the same story as someone else, I'll just be like, that's not special. Like,
yeah, I hear you.
But of course, I think I don't think everyone has the same story, but it's just like when you find similarities. For me, I don't know. I have a little bit of a problem with it sometimes for myself. But I also think what makes you unique is in your brain. Like, it's not the ideas or the stories that you create in life. It's more what was in here, basically. So
yeah, I hear you.
That makes sense.
Like,
if I say, for example, people will compare Steve Jobs and Bill Gates because they both made their money in tech and they both were innovators in tech.
Mm-hmm.
But both of them have completely different lives. If you look at their lives, like, they were different.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean in that sense, where just because it's similar, they don't function the same. They probably don't have the same. They didn't have. Well, Steve Jobs is dead, but they didn't have this. Oh, that sounded bad. No, I cut that.
We'll leave that in, bro. We'll leave that in. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No, it was a rest in peace dead, not a valiant dead, man.
Okay, you might have to cut it a bit on this laughing.
But nah, what's I gonna say?
No, rest in peace dead.
Rest in peace.
Shit.
Alright, I was gonna say so. Alright, then, so let's say to the older audience, he would be like, okay, cool. Obviously, you have lived that life where they are working, they're unhappy, they want to start reaching out to try new things. Where would you recommend for them to start? Because obviously, it first starts with networking.
For older people?
Yeah, for older people, let's say 25 to 30s, who are like, you know what, I never took a risk. I got some time. I want to take a risk.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't, this is going to sound kind of not controversial, but I don't think there's much difference between an older person and a younger person if you're trying to achieve the same goal, essentially. We're still humans. We're all humans. You can go into the same spaces and still network with people. So an older person can still go to a Gen Z club event, even though it's aimed at younger people. What's stopping you? Like, I always say to my students or my mentees, I say, like, there's no ceiling. Don't put a ceiling over anything. So don't think, oh, I can't go network here because this is not my crowd or something. Like, what's not your crowd? We're all humans. Everyone is your crowd, basically. Like, the world is your crowd as well. So I don't think there's a ceiling on older people. I think you can go where you want as well. And the limitation is in your brain. It's in your mind. It's not out there. Because if an older person comes and talks to you, you're not going to just walk past them. You're still going to have a conversation. Yeah. So I think the possibility is always there. It's just about that mental block and the limitations within your own mind. You need to overcome that first.
Wow. So what are some of the limiting beliefs that a lot of people struggle with?
I think age is one thing. So people think, I can't do this, I'm too young. And that's another thing, like, regarding my brothers. My brother, I told him in the network, if you have Prime, he resells Prime. Said, you can do it yourself. I'm not going to do it for you. Like, join a group and you can try and sell it through the group as well. So it's just a thing where, like, I'm not going to have, you're too young to do this. The only thing that you can be too young to do is if the law says you're too young to do it.
Yeah.
So you can't set up a business because you're not 18. Calm. That's fine. Find your way around it until you're 18. But there's nothing that's stopping you because of your age. That's one thing. Another limiting belief I'll say is that people get imposter syndrome. So they think once they start progressing and they get into a space where a lot of successful people are there, they start to think, wow, I don't actually belong here. Let me go back. And that's a big limit. That affects a lot of people. Like, I've been in spaces myself where I thought, wow, I'm a bit out of place here. But you need to think, okay, if you're out of place, why were you even in that room?
Yeah,
you put yourself there. You're meant to be there because those other people put themselves in that room, and in some circumstances, there's other people in the room thinking the same thing as you.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of, like, I don't know. You have to overcome that with yourself first, and just think, okay, you need to be secure within yourself essentially and be confident.
I do remember what I was trying to say earlier. I was like, we were talking about people's stories and that everyone's story is different. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people can mold their stories. As you know, you say a lot of people's stories sound similar.
Yeah.
Like if you look at rappers, it's like, I came from the struggle, this and that. And then sometimes, you find out they grew up in a nice house, both parents, and their parents bought them the flipping mic and everything to start rapping. But they're talking about, I grew up in a hard household, and it's just like, you can't believe everything you hear on social media. It's like everyone's just making up their story.
It's a facade,
and you actually don't know how truthful they are. Like some people you can tell who's genuine, some you can't. And some, you can just tell who's faking it, really.
Yeah.
So, I was just saying, watch out for people's stories, bro.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time you get those people on social media where you can tell straight away. You can tell straight away that's just fake.
Something's weird in it, yeah.
Yeah, that something's off. And then another thing is like, and obviously you see this is more common with traders that they have their politics within the trading community. So you see traders saying like, ask for proof, ask for like the withdrawals so you can actually see that they're making money in trading and stuff like that. So in anything else, look for results. If they can't show you any results of anything that they're saying they do, then they don't deserve your time or your money. Like, and I think people underrate their own time as well. They think just because you're not buying their course that you're fine, but you're not, because you still have them, you still follow them on social media, you're still watching their story, you're still investing your time and your mind into that content. And if it's fake, then what's the point in doing that? Like, it's not worth your time. Like.
And I feel like you need to be able to prove the results as well. Because I could just flip in, be like, join my trading group. I've made, my group's made this much ROI or whatever.
Definitely.
Pop up 30% I found on Google. Or steal from someone else's.
But that's what
Adobe Photoshop.
But that's what I even do. Like, say for example, with my students that I teach, in terms of copyright and content writing, if I have a client message me or like I generate a lead from a strategy that I told them about, I'll screenshot and I'll send it to the group and I'll show them, look, like this is the strategy. You can see what I did. So it's proven that this strategy works essentially. And then I even have, obviously it helps when you have previous students who I have actual testimonials and everyone's in the same group as well.
Yeah.
So you can see the results. But it's just about, if you can't see clear results and believable results, then
for real.
Just stay away.
Okay, I want to speak of something. You mentioned Kanye before. You said you had that Kanye beef. And recently, I just watched the Kanye West documentary.
I mention it?
I mentioned it.
That Kanye documentary.
Very inspiring.
Oh, the documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about his
recent acts.
No.
No.
I'm talking about the documentary and like how like I just wanted how he spoke about obviously the come up. He was like, obviously he wasn't everybody in music had the same stories and in the projects, rapping, shooting, and obviously his story was different. How he came, how he was honest, and how he got there and how he actually came into the rap scene. So I was going to ask you a question. How does Kanye motivate you or inspire you some way? Because I think for me, he's very inspiring as an artist. Yeah,
I think it's his confidence, and like you said, like not just his confidence in himself, in his music and his art, is more like his confidence in just having his own story, like he said. So it's his confidence to say, actually, I'm not gonna just be the generic rapper that everybody was trying to be at the time, or that labels were trying to make people be at the time. He's gonna be himself. He's gonna present it in the way that he wants to do it. Because at the end of the day, that's what separates an artist from other musicians or rappers or singers. That's what makes you an artist, that you're at the center of your own story and you're driving that story. You're not letting anybody else dictate what happens in your story, essentially. So that's what inspires me, in the sense that, Karma, I need to be the person holding the paintbrush. When we're painting in my life, I need to be holding the paintbrush. You can't let society tell you, oh no, you have to have this upbringing to be cool or something, or you have to have like, you have to have this struggle, or you have to nearly die or something. You have to have a story about nearly dying, or something like that. Well, yeah. Or even having to tell a story about nearly dying, like, you don't have to. You know what I mean?
What about you, Ajane? Because what did you learn? Because I think you was the person Not even I think. I know you was the person who recommended the Kanye documentary to me.
Oh yeah, listen, this Kanye documentary. When I was watching it, I couldn't believe my eyes, bro. I was like, this guy had so much confidence in himself. No one in them labels were rating his music like that.
Yeah.
But you look at it now and it's like, yo, they're classics. He was playing the classics and they were saying no. And a lot of people would have just been like, oh, maybe my music ain't that good. They would have gave up. But then, like, he just kept going. He was persistent. And then he finally got the deal. And even when he got it,
They still weren't rating it.
he got into a car crash, bro.
Yeah.
And his jaw was literally messed up. He could have just said, oh, allow it. You know, it weren't meant to be. Yeah. You know what my man did, bro? My man started rapping on the hospital bed. My man can barely talk and he starts rapping on the hospital bed, bro. That's different level of just like determination. He literally, your words to Nero, he created his reality, bro. He literally knew what he wanted. He made it happen no matter what. Facts. That's why I rate that Kanye. So I rate that Kanye.
The Kanye documentary it's definitely a classic, man. It's a sick documentary. How he's got everything, how people didn't want him in his label. The video, I think the part where he's in the studio and he's showing people his music, the music which now today has hundreds of millions of views. Yeah. And people are like, yeah, all right, Kanye. All right. And then he just walks out, blazes to the next person. It's crazy. But we're going to wrap it off. That's the final question. So a final question is from Trey, previous guest. And he said to you, what's been the biggest hurdle you've had to face doing what you're doing?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That is a very good question. Ooh. The biggest hurdle I've had to face. When we say doing what I'm doing, you mean like currently what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say, cool, so towards the end of last year, and this is crazy, so cool, so I lost my part-time job. Then I went on holiday, literally the same week. Then I came back and then my mom had to get surgery. And then when my mom had got surgery, so basically her recovery period was like 8 weeks. So she's only been out and about since maybe like first, second week of January. Right. So for me, that was difficult because as an older sibling, I can't help but bear the weight on my shoulders basically. So if my mom is out, I feel like I have to pick up where she kind of would normally be. Yeah. So it's that, like, going to the hospital, seeing my mum in hospital was not nice at all anyway. And then having to still keep up with the network, because I started that off of impulse as well. Because I was thinking, oh yeah, let's plan it. Make sure everything goes smoothly. And then at one point I was just like, do you know what, let me just do it right now. So the fact that I made that impulse decision and then I had to come back and kind of, keep everything going at the same time and still maintain being a role model. Because when you get stressed, you can easily just, younger siblings are annoying, if we're being real. So you can easily just be a bad role model or like just, do you know what I mean? But I try not to do that. So juggling everything at the same time, that was difficult for me. And then having to work with clients as well, that's just frustrating at the same time as dealing with younger siblings and stuff like that. But I'll say that was and a relationship.
Yeah, you still got to keep.
That's a lot to juggle at once.
Yeah, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. But I'll say, so far, especially like working with the network, my current lifestyle, that's been the hardest thing to tackle. And it was right at the beginning of that change, basically. Yeah. But yeah.
I like this.
Yeah. This was a great episode.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well.
Ethan, thank you for jumping on, bro. Honestly.
No worries.
And thanks for traveling as well.
Of course, man, of course. I had to.
Thank you for all I hope people at home definitely taking a lot of the networking advice, relationship advice too, and also the importance of how important it is to network to obtain and get to these higher levels. And the 3 V's, was it vision, value, and what was the second?
Visit.
No, so
visit.
It's visualize, visit, then value.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect 3 V's.
Follow that formula.
Yeah.
And another thing. Wait, you guys, can I?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, guys, so I am gonna do a giveaway. Wait, when is this gonna come out?
Tomorrow.
First of all, happy birthday, Naz. Secondly, I'm gonna do a giveaway. So, guys, the first person to, what should we do? I'll let you guys pick to do something because I have a free ticket to an event I'm speaking at. It's in London, guys.
Okay.
In London. And I'm gonna give a ticket to somebody who watches this, one of your subscribers.
To follow all the pages, mine, Ajne, and yours, and to subscribe.
follow all our pages, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about the best part of this video,
Yes.
and we'll select one of you.
Yes.
Yes.
Only one person. If a lot of people do it, I'll get more tickets. But but don't keep that in mind. For now, one person.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, guys. I always appreciate everyone, obviously, that's investing their time into just anything I'm doing. So, and obviously you guys as well.
I still got a lot more questions. Yeah, like, you got me for one more question?
Of course.
All right, then I want to ask you something. What's your opinion on when people say ChatGPT is going to take over copywriting?
Oh, yes. So I wanted this question. I forgot.
Yeah.
So, me personally, I think, number one, I won't say it's impossible because it is possible. The more that people, and specifically potential clients, see value in ChatGPT and other AI services, the less value they're going to see in a copywriter because they don't know about the background, they don't know about the research and the principles that go into copywriting as a skill. So that's one thing. So it's kind of ignorance of the skill can definitely lead to displacement of people's jobs. But I would say if you see AI as your enemy rather than your friend, then you're going to lose because you can't beat a computer. That's always adapting. A computer, while you're sleeping, it's improving. While you're awake, it's improving. While you're with your girl, it's improving. So essentially, you can't escape it. You can't compete against it. If you see it as your enemy, then you're going to lose your job to it. So what I see AI as is all you can do is use it as a tool. Okay, if I can use the speed of AI, using the information I have, the knowledge I have, the principles that I know of, then I'm a combination of both.
Nice.
That provides more value than the AI itself.
Yeah,
so essentially, I think use it as your friend. It's a tool. And obviously, that's something I teach my students. So I'm going to be going over next week. Are you coming to London?
I'm limping,
I
bro.
don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't
Oh,
going
man.
London.
Oh, that's all right, man.
I ain't walking
alright,
for a
man.
while. I know. I seen that in a group chat, and I was like,
I've seen it as well. I've seen it
I
as
can't
well.
even
Catch a
make
flight,
it to
man. Catch a
London.
flight.
See you, man.
Yeah.
Alright, then. Thank you for that, Ethan.
Thanks for that, bro.
No worries. It was a pleasure.